In this lesson, we're going to learn about the quadratic formula and how we can use it to find real or complex solutions to quadratic equations. So what is the quadratic formula? It can be used to find the solutions of quadratics that are factorable, but where it's really useful is finding the solutions to quadratics that are not factorable, because factoring is a little easier, I'd say, than what this is. And so we have the formula here is x equals negative b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, and that is when 0 is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. So when we have a standard form quadratic and it's already equal to 0, we can take my a, b, and c values and plug it right into this formula, okay? There's plenty of YouTube videos out there of people doing really entertaining parodies of different songs to try and get you to remember the quadratic formula. So maybe I'll make a YouTube playlist of those so that you can always remember that x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So let's do some examples. Let's put this to use. So here's my first example, and I've got my steps listed out here. My first step is to identify a, b, and c. So let's remember that we need 0, ax squared plus bx plus c. And so my a is the number that's in front of my x squared, which in this case is 3. My b is the number in front of my x, which in this case is negative 14. And my c is my constant, whatever is left afterwards, which is negative 24. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of group steps 2 and 3 together. So step 2 says we're going to plug the values into the formula. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop over to Desmos here. And now I can tell Desmos what my a, b, and c are. So I'm going to say a is equal to 3. I'm going to say b is equal to negative 14, and c is equal to negative 24. And now I want to find what we call the discriminant, which is the inside of our radical. So let's remember that the formula was x equals negative b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And so what I'm looking for in the pink, in my pink step is this value, not the square root part, just what's inside. That's called our discriminant. And so what I'm going to do in Desmos is say b squared minus 4ac, which is what we have inside of our square root. So my discriminant is 484. So again, I'm doing steps 2 and 3 together here. So I'm going to say this is equal to, we want negative b. b is a negative, so negative negative would turn into positive 14, plus and minus the square root. My discriminant, which we just found in Desmos, was 484. And all of this is divided by 2 times my a, which is 3. Okay? Step 4 is going to be to simplify the radical. So I'm doing that prime factorization stuff where I'm seeing what I can break 484 up into. One thing that you can do, though, in Desmos is just see if 484 is a perfect square. So we'll do that here. Let's say the square root 484 is 22. So it actually is a perfect square here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say this is equal to 14 plus and minus. The square root of 484 is 22 all over 2 times 3, which is 6. Now let's see if I can simplify this fraction any, which just means can I divide all of my numbers by something? Well, they're all even numbers here, so I'm going to divide everything by 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7. Plus and minus 22 divided by 2 is 11. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And my last step here is to add and subtract. So I've been using this plus and minus symbol. And what this is saying is I want to add 7 and 11, and I want to subtract 7 and 11. So I'm going to break that up here and say this is 7 plus 11 over 3. And we have 7 minus 11 over 3. And so let's just simplify these. So 7 plus 11 would give me 18. And 18 divided by 3 would give me 6. 7 minus 11 would give me a negative 4. And negative 4 over 3 can't be simplified, so this would be negative 4 over 3. So my solutions are going to be negative 4 over 3 and 6. Okay, and so this is how we plug our values into the quadratic formula, and we can find some solutions like this. And so sometimes they're nice, clean numbers like this, but sometimes they're not. And so we're going to look at an example with some numbers that aren't as nice. So again, my first step is going to be to find my a, b, and c. Here I am equal to 0, so I can go ahead and say that a is my number in front of my x squared, which is 5. B is going to be negative 2, and C is going to be 5. So let's do my steps 2 and 3 together again. So in Desmos, I'm going to say that A is equal to 5. I'm going to say B is equal to negative 2, and C is equal to positive 5. My discriminant is found by doing B squared minus 4AC. And it's negative 96 here. So I'm going to say that x equals negative b. I want the opposite of b. Well, I guess I can write the formula here. Minus 4ac all over 2a. And so I want the opposite of my b value, which in this case is going to be positive 2, plus and minus the square root. We found our discriminant to be negative 96 in Desmos. All of this is divided by 2 times my a, which is 5. Now my fourth step is to simplify the radical. And so I'm thinking what numbers multiply to negative 96. Negative 96 we can break into 6 times 16. 6 can be broken into 2 times 3. 16 can be broken into 2 times 8. 8 can be broken into 4 times 2. And 4 can be broken into 2 times 2. And so again, we're looking for pairs. I've got a pair of 2 here, a pair of 2's here. And so I also have this this negative inside the square root is going to become I. So I'm going to say this is 2 plus and minus. When I pull out my 2 pairs of 2, that's 2 times 2, which is 4. I have the negative, so I'm going to make this 4i. And now inside the radical, all I'm left with is this 2 times 3, which is 6. And all of this is divided by 2 times 5, which is 10. Step 5 says to simplify the radical. Once again, these numbers are all even. So I'm going to say I'm going to divide them all by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4i divided by 2 is 2i. I can't do anything with whatever is inside my square root. And this is all over 10 divided by 2 would be 5. And my next step is just to add and subtract. But I can't really simplify adding anything here. So I'm actually done. So I don't really have to do anything new for step 5. So I'm just going to say my solutions are x equals the square root, x equals 1 plus and minus 2i square roots of 6 all over 5. So again, the quadratic formula works if you have real solutions or complex solutions. So how do we use the quadratic formula? Desmos can help us out a lot with this. we can plug in our a, b, and c values and plug it into the equation, which was negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Once we do that, we're just going to simplify things in chunks until we get to our final answer. So I hope you had as much fun as I did with this lesson. There is another way to solve non-factorable quadratics, which I may think is a little bit easier, but you can decide for yourself. So I'd encourage you to watch Solving with Lowe's Method next. And then good luck in your practice, and I hope to see you in Solving with Lowe's Method.